Hello folks, it's a very sultry, overcast Wednesday morning in southeast England today, and it is so warm in this conservatory that I'm going to risk having the door open, so there might be some wind noise if something comes, and inevitably some dogs barking, but old Andy has been thinking. And I've been thinking what prompted this was this guitar. This is my 2003 Collings 002H, made very close tribute to the Martin 00028, which was first introduced in, I think, 1902 and still in production in the VS and the 30 series. 12 frets, as you see, slotted headstock, a 1 13/16 neck on this. On the Martin, I think it would be 1 7/8, which was original, and a standard scale, 25.5, Martin 25.4. I have compared this with an equivalent Martin. I own this one, but it's a difficult guitar. It's a prima donna. I'm always adjusting it. When I put these strings on, which I'll come to in a moment, I had to adjust the truss rod twice, and I ended up putting on a new saddle altogether and starting all over again. And the problem is not really the guitar, the problem is really me. Now, I'm an old ham-fisted bluegrass picker, and I bought this guitar to play Jimmy Rogers material. I got the California blues and I sure gonna leave it. I got the California blues and I sure gonna leave it. I mean, ride the blinds, I ain't got no railroad fare. I bought it to perform that sort of stuff, and I found that I overplayed it, and it was buzzing and things like that. Of course, it's a smaller guitar than a dreadnought all around, although it has the same scale length, but it's appropriate to have light gauge strings on it. And I tend to overplay it, and so I have the action. For many years I've had the action exactly the same as my dreadnoughts. I've recently lowered the action on my dreadnoughts, but this is much the same, and it's higher than manufacturer's specs. It's about 80, 110, which I find gets a bit awkward around here with the twiddly bit. So, what are we to do? I am pretty set in my ways now. I've tried them all. I've tried all the strings, and I've tried all the picks, and I've tried the different actions and things. And I have a Collings dreadnoughts, as you probably know, and this, and I have a Waterloo, which I shall introduce to you in a moment. So strings are light gauge. Let's talk about strings. I've got 3 guitars here, and they are all strung with Martin SP strings. I heard on the various fora that Martin were discontinuing the SP strings, which seemed to be the most popular type, and so I bought a bunch and I put them on. Here's my theory on guitar strings of 3 different makes that I've tried. I've been with D'Addario for many years, and I'm going to stay with D'Addario. But people on the Collings forum always tend to prefer John Pierce strings, and would you believe people on the Martin forum prefer the Martin SPs? Well, I find the SP strings clean, perhaps a little thin tonally. But Martins are a little bit bassy tonally, so maybe that conjunction works well. Collings are perfectly balanced. They've stayed that pre-war ethos of Martins, and they work to keep them balanced so they can sound bright to many people. John Pierce are rather warm and a little bit fuzzy to my way of thinking, so a warm set of strings on a bright set of guitar, good balance. The Darios are right in the middle. They are neither warm and fuzzy, nor are they excessively bright or thin, and these work for me personally on my Collings guitars and my everything else. I have to say one thing about these SPs. I do like the gold coloured first and second. Anyway, so I put Martin light gauge SPs on this, and I had the same sort of trouble. Right, we've got a combination of guitar, action, strings and picks. My beloved blue chips. Sounds a bit Fender Telecaster-y to me. So I started mooching around, and my second favourite pick manufacturer is Vegan. All of my picks, by the way, are these large triangles, which are known as 3/4/6 size, which I really recommend to everybody because for a start you get 3 tips to play, and you get a slightly different angle hitting the string than a teardrop, which gives you a smoother lift off the string tone. So anyway, I tried an old Vegan, which I think I might have played around with and put some extra beveling on at some time, I don't know. So I played this guitar with this pick, and the trebles are slightly warmer. Now 99 out of 100 people, that wouldn't worry people one way or the other, but you know, I'm a nerd, and if you're watching this, you're probably a nerd too. So I thought I'd have a go at this. Yeah, that sounds nice. Whereas with my TAD 40 1mm large triangle, hear the difference? Interesting. So how does this affect my other guitars? I've spoken about the strings. I've mentioned the picks before. I've even got a video that shows how I modify picks. And I'm going to reach over for my dreadnought. I've settled with my dreadnoughts on my TAD 50s, which are 1.25mm blue chips. Even with Martin strings, that sounds just pretty much as I want it. No light gauge on the first and second anymore. I've just gone back to the 13s and 17s and gone back to an action as recommended by Collings, which is what they call 332 and 232, which is about 90 and about 60 thou. But I can also, I always keep in my Princess Mary boxes, along with my capo and my tuner, capo and my tuner and some spare picks, I keep a Vegan TF140, which is just as good a sounding, not quite as fast as my my blue chips. Yeah, these are 97 octane, these are 99 octane. That's how I think of it. But I've experimented with a lot of other things. By the way, this is a tortoiseshell pick, 55 thou, so it's what's the difference? It's about 1.5, I suspect. This is this again has been carved into a slightly smaller triangle. Tortoiseshell is nice. It's got a good round sound. It's thick. It doesn't give the flex that others do. But they do flake, they do crack, and they do wear. And when we can buy things like blue chip, I don't think we need to worry about tortoiseshell. Apart from the laws against the trade in it now, for very understandable reasons. It's hawksbill turtle shell, not tortoiseshell, but we call it tortoiseshell. I do believe it's a bit like the Brazilian rosewood and the ivory bridge pins and the Adirondack types. You know, we want it because it's difficult to get. This is an old marketing thing that's been going on for ages, and it's just happened because they used to use something in the 20s and 30s and 40s. We want it now. Would you want an old valve radio when you can get a super duper new stereo radio or whatever? You know, technology has advanced, and we don't need this old stuff anymore. We can play beautifully with modern gear. There you are. I'm having a rant. Okay. So where are we? I mentioned my vegan bakes. Now let's just look at my third guitar. This is again made by Collings, and it is a Waterloo WL12. It's a kind of 00. It resembles a Martin 00, but it's after the Gibson 00. It's an expensive guitar made to look and sound cheap. This is effectively what Bill Collings did. I myself have experience picking up an old 40s L00 and feeling some definite magic in it. I have a friend who's a dedicated blues player, and he found a wrecked L00 which he lovingly restored, basically rebuilt from scratch, and it really had a magic about it, and I really didn't want to let it go. I really didn't want, and I was offering him money. He said, no, I put a lot of blood, sweat and tears in that. I want to keep it. This is my guitar. And I quite understood that. So I went off in search for a Gibson L00, and I came home with this. It has, you wouldn't think so, but that's maple back and sides. Maple is an easily available wood. It is the wood of preference for archtop guitars, for those You know, the jazz dance band rhythm boxes. It's not got a lot of bass. It's got a modicum of treble, but it's got a lot of middle and a lot of projection. It travels a long way. And these were marketed to working class people in the States, primarily in the 30s and 40s. Kalamazoos and things like that were often mail order stuff. You got what you got, and you played it till it fell apart. You didn't buy Waterloos for $10 on the, or 10 cents on the note or whatever it's called. These are still expensive guitars, a bit too expensive perhaps, but anyway I fell one for one. And I went to buy a Gibson and I couldn't find any Gibsons that were of an acceptable standard, and I came home with this. And it's a thin neck, it's a 1 3/4 nut, which doesn't suit me very well, but it spreads out to a 2 3/8 string spacing, which I thought would compensate. It's okay. And it's great for that bluesy type stuff. Again, I'm using a blue chip TAD 40. Is that really the right choice? What about something a bit duller, like that old Vegan? Takes the top off it just a little bit. How about a harder, pointy one? Some of you will know that when I was ill in 2017 and couldn't do anything much between hospital visits, I took to modifying some picks that were generally easily available to see what I could achieve by probably finishing them and adding bevels. This is a D'Addario Proplec. Very middle, but absolutely dead. No feeling in it at all. But I like a certain feedback from a pick. I like to feel that string hitting it, and I like to feel a little bit of flex. I tried Dunlop Tortex, which I found were the optimum ones. The trouble with celluloid picks is that they burn easy when you're trying to sand them down and things like that. So they also wear. Tortex is fine, Ultex is okay. Probably a better material, probably longer last. And so thereby harder to work when you're buffing them and polishing them, things like that. I also tried the Prime Tomes, which were coming out in 2017. And I have to say, I was looking for one of the translucent ones, and I don't have any. I think I've given them all away. And the ones that are just the dull brown, that look remarkably similar to blue chips, are again another absolutely dead sort of a feeling. I've got one here somewhere, which I should have prepared earlier. No, I haven't. Never mind. It just feels like a slab. There's no life in it at all. And so, you know, you choose your picks. You pick, you choose. You get what you like, and that's fine. Tortoiseshell is another tortoiseshell. Approaching the muddy sometimes. But in spite of all these picks, of course, there's another way of playing these. If you have been, thanks for watching. Bye.